Let's look at Chapter 4, developing your knowledge of the local marketplace. The more knowledge you have about the marketplace, the less likely it is that you're going to waste your time dealing with sellers or properties that just don't make sense. You can't afford to buy the right property in the wrong neighborhood any more than you can afford to buy the wrong property in the right neighborhood. I think that common sense would indicate to you that you can make a lot more money, you can find a lot more flexible sellers, you can find a lot more available homes for sale that are low-priced than high-priced. I think if all of the homes in the United States, regardless of price, were to be shown on a triangular graph like the one on page 4-1, you would find that there are a lot more inexpensive properties than there are expensive ones. Perhaps at the very point of that triangular graph, at the very top, is the Hearst home that was put on the market recently in California for $26 million. Or maybe the home that Donald Trump bought in Palm Beach, Florida for $7 million. Those are at the very top. At the very bottom, perhaps, are the slums. There are a lot of those. Where you want to buy is in the shaded area, the top half of the inexpensive property and the bottom half of the moderately expensive properties. Those are the properties that you should concentrate on, what I call bread and butter properties. It's not hard to recognize properties like this. They're located in neighborhoods where many of the homes are very much the same in appearance. There are a lot of old cars in the driveway and some vans and maybe a car up on cement blocks and a travel trailer and a boat. Evidence is that the people living there have spent their money on destructive, depreciating assets and debt rather than constructive debt. These are not slums. They are homes that are lived in or owned by people who are victims of inflation. They are victims of low pay. And unfortunately, they are victims of lack of education in knowing how to budget money. And I think budgeting money is just as important as the amount of money you make, what you do with it. So these are the properties that you're going to invest in, you're going to concentrate on. It's going to be easier for you to get a break-even or a positive cash flow with properties like this. Now, depending upon the part of the country you're in, you're going to find that these properties differ greatly in price. And I like to think that properties like this, that I call bread and butter, will yield 1% or close to 1% per month income. Let me show you that on the overhead. For example, if you buy a $100,000 property in Los Angeles, that $100,000 property should yield in rent 1%, which is $1,000 per month. You're going to find it very difficult to operate properties with a break-even or a positive cash flow if you get below 1% or below 0.9%, which in this case would be $900 a month. The higher you go in terms of property value, the more disparity there is, the more discrepancy there is between what you pay for the property and what you rent it for. I even know some areas of the country where you can buy some low-end bread and butter properties for $20,000 that you can rent out for $350 a month. You see, that's a 1.5%, isn't it? More than 1.5%. There's some mobile homes that you can buy for $20,000 and rent out for $400 a month. When you start getting into more expensive properties, for example, a $100,000 property in most sections of the country other than Southern California and the San Francisco Bay Area will not rent for $1,000 a month. If you buy a $200,000 property, you're going to be very lucky to get $2,000 a month. It's probably going to be more like $1,500. So the more you stay within this bread and butter price range, the easier it's going to be to get a break-even or a positive cash flow on your properties.